Hey, we're in TORAH Da'aba, Tu B'Shvat Sameach, Happy Tu B'Shvat. We were in the middle of talking about Hilchot Tefillin. Before we start, I just want to say one word about Tu B'Shvat. So Tu B'Shvat, the source of doing the Seder of the Tu B'Shvat is not written in the Ari HaKadosh. At least not in the Ketavim that we know, the Ketavim of the Ari that we know to be legit, 100% legitimate. That people didn't add Hagaot there, this, that. For example, in the Sfarim of the Ari that we have that are the most trustworthy is the Shmona Sha'arim of Rav Shmuel Vital, right? Those were the Ketavim that Rav Chaim Vital didn't put inside the Geniza. He wanted them to be revealed eventually. He gave them over to his son. His son only printed them much later. So one of those Sfarim is Sha'ar Kavanot. And in Sha'ar Kavanot, there is no mention of Tu B'Shvat. Only in a hint he mentions it in the beginning of Kavanot Rosh Hashanah. He writes there are 4 Rosh Hashanahs, and those correspond to the 4 Aliyot of the Malchut of the Shekhinah. The Shekhinah is in the Galut. The mashal is that every midnight the Shekhinah goes down to what it was during the Chorban Beit HaMikdash, to a Nikuda. Then the Malchut goes down to being a Nikuda. It goes down to the Klippa in the worlds of Beriah, Yitzirah, and Asiyah. And what does the Shekhinah do there? So she's melaketet kol ha-nitzotzot kedusha. So all the nitzotzot kedusha, all the neshamot, all the nitzotzot, all the sparks of the rapach nitzotzot, the 288 sparks, they connect to the malchut like a magnet. You understand? But she doesn't take so much in one day. She keeps the klipa alive until Mashiach comes. When Mashiach comes, that's going to be bilah hamavet lanetzach. Death will end, which basically means the Samech Mem will cease to exist as what he is right now. It will transform. And Hashem will wipe away the tears because Tchias HaMeitim is going to come. Okay? Because if there's no death, that means whatever we thought was death is really going to be life. Okay? So when the Shekhinah goes down to the Klippa,
so we're all going to be dead?
Whatever we thought was death, that all those people who lived in Moshe, no, they're gonna be back to being alive, which basically means that they were always alive. That's the secret. They were always alive. Death was just an illusion. Okay? That we have to live with, since we're living in this world of 6,000 years where there's a lot of klipa. Even though we're already at the ekev of the ekev, we're still in the era of the acharonim. Our era is not called anything new. It's the era of the acharonim. After every Jewish tragedy that happened, we kind of went into a new era. Okay? So when the Holocaust happened, it was supposed to be the end of an era. And we would go into a new era, maybe Acharonei Acharonim. I don't know what they would call it already. But the thing was, since right after the Holocaust was the birth of the state of Israel, so what we kind of went into was Hatchalta de Geula. Even though it came through the Erev Rav and everything.
Stood up and relaxed.
Right now, right, the Gemara brings it down, that's the secret, don't mention it to anybody, I make you swear, but everybody figured it out. What's interesting is that right now, people don't know this because they're sleeping. We're getting in another step of the coming of the Mashiach, because the Ari told Rabbi Chaim Vital in Sha'ar HaGilgulim, in the last 2 chapters, where he just is basically like a small biography of his. He tells him inside Sha'ar HaGilgulim that the bracha you have to have the most kavanah in is Hashiva Shofteinu K'Harishon. Hashem, bring back our Shoftim as it was. Tzadikim, basically, Sanhedrin, right? And the reason he told Chaim Vital is since he was Sod Mashiach ben Yosef, and Mashiach ben Yosef has to start the Geula. To start the Geula, first you have to make sure that there is Shoftim b'Shotrim. Or else how are you going to have a backing here, right? And after Shoftim b'Shotrim, what do we have? Laminim v'lamarashinim, right? Then we destroy all the minim. And then after that, ala tzadikim. Who gets up? Tzadikim are back on top. And then Tishkon betoch Yerushalayim yechak asher dibarta. Then Hashem comes back to reside in Zion. Right? But Zion b'mishpat tifadeh. First it's to be Hashiva Shofteinu K'Harishon. And right now in Israel it's going on a huge, they're saying it could be a civil war even, where the current government in power wants to reform the Justice Department, wants to change it, and bring it, and basically take out all the leftists and bring people that have a kavod to the Torah. It's the beginning, and it's going huge. So every Motzei Shabbos, there's 1 million people protesting over there. 1 million. Or they say it's 1 million.
I'm confused. They want to bring in liberals?
No, they want to take them out. Right now, the Israeli justice system is only liberals. But not liberals like you. These are like totally leftists. They love the Palestinians. They let them build illegally. While Jews have to pay an arm and a leg, these guys are just building themselves houses. They give them all the privileges. Very, very liberal, right? They allow all the chas v'shalom to'evas, all the chilulei Shabbat. They go after religious Jews. It's really a destruction of Kedusha. The justice system in Israel is a destruction of Kedusha. And right now we are witnessing, if it's going to be successful, which I think it will be, because we're in Motzei Shvi'it, that they're gonna be successful in reforming the justice system, and it's gonna cause a big rift inside Israel. It's already becoming a big rift. All right, Tel Aviv versus the rest. Just kidding. So in Tel Aviv, we're all the tzaddikim anistarim, by the way. Good.
Oh, the Rabbi Rav Aaron was in Tel Aviv.
Originally.
His shul was over there.
What do you mean? Isn't he in Yerushalayim?
Not the previous, the one that
So
was by the war.
Yeah. So he still has a shul in Tel Aviv, you're saying?
I don't think it's used, but people, it's like a museum. They take the kids as a tour. It's like a house / shul.
Yeah, actually, I heard an interesting story.
It's very tiny.
Interesting story when he first
Smaller
came.
than like half this room. But it's like a kitchen also over there.
When he first came to Israel, he ran away from the war. He had nothing. Zero. And the first Shabbos that he came back from the war was Parshas B'Shalach, Shabbos here. And he gave a drasha in the shul, which you're saying was basically smaller than here, which it's pretty small. And he said over there, Az Yashir Moshe, this is one of the sources of the Torah for Tchias HaMesim. Az Yashir Moshe, Az. And he said to everybody in the room, don't think that what they're doing, this and that, it's going to be Tchias HaMesim, they're going to come back. Tzaddikim are going to come back on time, and this is a proof from the Torah, this week's parasha, Az Yashir Moshe. So that was something I heard today, actually. So what was I trying to say is that the 4 Rosh Hashanahs are what? 1st of Nisan, 1st of Tishrei, 1st of Elul, and Tu B'Shvat. Beit Shammai say the 1st of Shvat, the famous Mishnah in the beginning of Rosh Hashanah, right? So those 4 Rosh Hashanahs, they correspond to the 4 Aliyot of the Shekhinah. So first, the Shekhinah goes up from Bria, right, till the Yesod, right? The Yesod of Zah, okay? Zah is the 4th system, right? So first, the Nikudah, the Malchut goes to the Yesod, right? Now, so first Rosh Hashanah is she's in Bria, right? She's in Nikudah in Bria. Then she goes,
Should I bring the board?
No, it's okay, we're going to say that. Then she goes up to the Yesod. Then she goes up to the Tiferet. And then she goes up to the Da'at.
That's the middle.
Yeah, right. So, Malchut is the middle column, right? So, if you're going to count from the 4 Rosh Hashanahs, the Mishnah counts the 4 Rosh Hashanahs, the last Rosh Hashanah is Tu B'Shvat. So that means Tu B'Shvat, we can make an Ukimta. Tu B'Shvat is connected the Aliyat HaShekhinah, the mashal is to the Da'at. And that's why Tu B'Shvat is Rosh Hashanah Le'ilanot, and the Chet Adam HaRishon was Etz Hada'at, and a tree. So today, since she goes up to the Da'at, and that tree was Etz Hada'at, and that's why we daven for the Etrog today, because some say that the Etz Hada'at was an Etrog. Alright, the Ben Ish Chai has a special davening today. If you daven today, it's my chiddush. Yeah. It's not the Ari didn't say it. It's just the Gzeira Shava that I mean. But the Etrog, right? Something that the Ben Ish Chai writes down should in Lashon Chachamim. He brings out a tefillah, small tefillah that you should say today to have a good Etrog. Okay, that was a chud. The Chalban was very, very specific that a person should never buy his etrog till after Yom Kippur. Why? Because he says that the etrog that a person buys has to It has to be a product of his tefillas and Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. But a lot of people, they want to get a good etrog, and they know all the buyers, they come in the beginning, right? So they go and then there's nothing left. What do? We don't have a big market like Israel.
Better in Rosh Hashanah.
Exactly. I buy 2 etrogim, one before and one after. But okay, so back to the tefillin. We're going to learn some interesting stuff today, B'ezrat Hashem. Even though whatever we just said was beautiful things, but back to the TORAH de'ava. So inyan tefillin. So we learned last week that the Ari HaKadosh would wear Rashi and Rabbeinu Tam together in Shachars, and then he wore Shimush HaRabbas and Mincha. Now this is all the Rav Chaim Vital is witnessing that the Ari HaKadosh did, and they only knew each other for about a year and a half, right? A year and 10 months. So that means the Ari HaKadosh didn't wear the 2 tefillins for a very long time, because when he switched, he already knew Rav Chaim Vital. So that means basically that, he didn't spend a lot of time doing it. Originally, he used to wear his Rashi and Rabbeinu Tam's in the morning, and then in Mincha he would wear just Rabbeinu Tam's. Then he made himself Shimush HaRabbah. Okay? There's 2 types of Shimush HaRabbah, by the way. There's Shimush HaRabbah, the Rashi scrolls, and there's Shimush HaRabbah, the Ra'avad. Shitat HaRa'avad. Nobody uses that. Chabadnikim wear that. They use Ra'avad.
Has a different order?
Yeah. It's basically, it's like Rabbeinu Tam order, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me. I think it's like Rabbeinu Tam's order, just Hafuch, yeah. That's what I think is the Shev HaRa'avad, but don't quote me, like I said. But we don't wear Ra'avad. It's not written in the Divrei Ari. I wanted to make myself a pair once. Just stam, because there was a big rabbi, Yosef Voltoch. He used to wear all the shittot of tefillin. Now there is a source for those Ra'avat tefillin. There is a source in the Gurei Ha'ari. And who? So it's very funny, that book you bought me today, Matzat Shimurim. In Matzat Shimurim he talks about tefillin. And he says that's the highest level of tefillin. Nobody has ever reached that level. One shouldn't wear the tefillin. Chabadnikim all wear it. I mean, not all, but I think that they definitely have a similar pair to that. I believe so, if I'm not mistaken. Like I say, don't quote me on that. I'm not an expert in the Derech Chabad, but they definitely have a certain different pair that they also wear. So it says, how do you wear those 2 tefillin together at the same time? Lamed Beis. In the beginning, first you put in your Zeroah, the tefillin yad of Rashi. So the Rashi, and then the Rashi, when you put it on the hand, has to be before the Rabbeinu Tam's, closer to the katif.
And over here?
But he's going to say now. So the Rashis are closer to the katif, and the Rabbeinu Tam's are after. It's more closer to the, right, exactly, to the elbow. Kiboret, that's the apple, right? So it has to be, it's not allowed to be in the last part of the hand. We all know the halacha has to be closer to the top, the biceps, right? Closer to the top part. Lamaise, many Pashtanim say that all the people who wear the 2 tefillin, they're 2 tefillins at the same time, they're all besafin. Why? Shulchan Aruch paskins like the smak. The smak says you dafka have to wear it only on the bicep, right? On the tapuach. But there is a gra, the Ben Ish Chai brings it down, that says the whole top of the hand, that's all considered it's all considered bicep.
You have big muscles.
Yeah, I've said it, but most people do not. Especially Talmidei Chachamim, they're not over there working out. They are in shape. They're just rounder. Usually, they only come in 2 shapes. Talmidei Chachamim, round or a stick. It's only 2 of them. They're not there working out. But we do have shitot to rely on. The Ben Ish Chai brings it down famously in the name of the Gra, and they have full of Rishonim that say that the whole arm is good enough to wear tefillin. So, and you have the Ari, who's greater than the Ari that learned Torah peh with Eliyahu and Avi. That means he had the Masoret. The Rambam brings the Masoret of all the Chachamim from in his Akdama to Mishneh Torah. He brings the Masoret. Moshe gave it to Yoshua gave it to Otniel gave it to this Shofet, to that Shofet. Right? Not all the Shoftim were Talmidei Chachamim. Some Shoftim were, unfortunately, more military leaders, like Yiftach. The guy slaughtered his daughter, according to one opinion. Who else over there was not, Shimshon is a machloket over there. What was going on with him exactly? On one hand, we see stuff he did over there that didn't make so much sense. On the other hand, Shimshon, he had Ruach HaKodesh. People don't get Ruach HaKodesh. Amaharetz, he has to have Ruach Elokim. He has to have certain divine powers. To do that, you have to know the Kavanot, the Tfilot, Derech HaEmet. But, for example, there are Shoftim, we have like Shamgar ben Anat, Barak ben Avinoam, this past Haftarah, right? But Tashar Devorah, Shira Devorah. They look like they're just military people. They don't look like they were, right? So the Rambam brings down all the history, the Torah, that what we call the line of Torah, and from Eliyahu Navi to Achia Shiloni, and so on and so forth. So that line ended because Smicha ended. This is all the line of Smicha. The Smicha ended mid-time of the Amoraim because of persecution. It almost ended in the time of the Gemara, at the time of the Mishnah. But then Rav Yehuda ben Bava, one of the 10 Harogei Malchus, he gave Smicha to the 5 students of Rabbi Akiva, and that's how he kept Smicha going. But unfortunately, we don't have Smicha. Rav Yosef Kara, I always say this story in my Shirim, Maran Shulchan Aruch, he wanted to bring back Smicha. And it's possible to do it. There's 2 ways. According to the Rambam, if all the Chachamim get together and say, we agree to bring it back. And all of them, with the power invested in them, give Smicha to one Rav.
All of them means how many people?
We're talking about the G'dolei Ador of Eretz Yisrael. Right? And they all get together and say, we agree to bring it back. And they all give their power to one Rav. And that Rav then goes back and gives the power to everybody. So they did try to do it in the time of Rav Yosef Karo, the Maran Shulchan Aruch, but Chachmei Yerushalayim were against them.
Aggressive.
Yeah, they were against this whole idea of Smicha. They didn't. I don't want to say it was a political thing. Why is Tzfat over Yerushalayim? It should be done in Yerushalayim. Anyways, it looks like there was a bit of a. Some say that it was a machloket from halacha because the Ramban says no. You have to get smicha. You have to have a person who actually had smicha. And who was that? Eliyahu Navi. Eliyahu Navi never died, technically speaking, right? Technically speaking. So if he comes back to give us smicha, that means we have smicha straight ish mipi ish. So Eliyahu Navi talked to Ari HaKadosh, and the Ari HaKadosh face to face, not in Ruach HaKodesh, mamash flesh to flesh. So if we say that means Eliyahu Ari HaKadosh had to be the next line of Smicha, but Lo Istaya Milta, right? And he died at the young age of 38.
Who else learned with Eliyahu Navi?
Many people say they learned with Eliyahu Navi, the Rashash, this, that, but once again, it could have been just Beruch Kocham, like a Magid, you know? I see him, nobody else sees him. Huh? Yeah, but that's not in a level of Ari HaKadosh, right?
I don't know.
Nah, because what the Ari did basically was, the Ari wasn't Mechadash anything, he just explained the Zohar HaKadosh. All of the Ari's works could be learned from those 2 books of the Zohar, Idra Rabbah and Idra Zud. The whole Partzufim comes from those 2 books. Okay? He took from the Zohar HaKadosh all the parts. The Ramak and his Or Yakari also was Mefarish to the Zohar, but he didn't come to the same conclusions as the Ari. He wrote 48. He lived till 48 years old, right? And then he also wrote, I don't know, he had like at least 20 books. He was Et Sofer Mahir. The Ramak himself was a great Sofer. He wrote a lot. He was a scribe. The Ari couldn't write anything, right? But from the Ramak, all of his books went to the Ramami Pano. Ramami Pano paid like 10,000 red gold to his almana, and we have a shtar actually that he bought the Sfarim of the Or Yakar, right? And the Ramak's son's name was Rav Gadaev, Cordovero, and he sold it to the Rama. But when the Ramami Pano saw the books of the Ari, he kind of he said they're both amazing, but this is what I was looking for, you know what I'm saying? Like, even in the Sefer HaChezionot, the Ari, the Rav Chaim Vital saw the Ramak and he asked them, what do you learn in Shamayim? He said, both of the Derachim are emes, but I learned Shitat HaAri in Shamayim. I learned it like how the Ari taught it. You ever be the Ari? Because the Chaim knew the Ramak. They actually learned together, right? So because the Ari HaKadosh has it now, there's this rabbi, right? He calls himself a Nazir. So he says he wants to open up the Shitat HaRamak. The Ramak, Mukubalim Akademonim, he wants to open those shitot, like books that people don't usually learn these days. He wants to open it out and bring it out and spread it out. So I asked him, I said to him, what do you say about the Sefer HaChezionot? You know what I mean? Because it says, Beferish, that they learned Shitat HaAri in Olam Haba, in the Gadaev. And he said, I hold that Piska, that it's a forgery. They added that. Somebody added that in. Hechitesi. Were you? Al smachma, you're saying it's a forgery. You know what I mean? Al smachma. You can't just because it suits you to say it's a forgery. You can't do that. Okay. The Maisa at the end of the day, most yeshivot learn Shitat HaAri because that's where all the avodah is. You don't see the Ramak or the Sefer Tefillah. You don't see the Hirut Yechudim. You don't see these things. The Elionut of the Ramak and the Ari is that he was Mefarish the whole Zohar. That's something big. And also in his Pardes Rimonim, he was Mesakim all the Kabbalah till his day. That's a work of thing. The Ari did say there are certain Sfarim that are Emes, that their Shita was Emet, they learned from a Magid, and it's true. One of them is that Sefer that you got at the time, the big, Brit Menucha. But Brit Menucha, remember, it doesn't deal with Olam HaTzilut. It's all Bia over there. The Malachim, this, that, you know? So that Sefer is a Sefer Gevurah, right? Which is a part 2 of Brit Menucha. These are all continuations of Sfarim that were real, right? And the Ramban was Al Derech HaEmet, his Pirush on the Torah. Sometimes he writes over there things. If you learn the Ramban, especially in Sefer Bereshit, he writes Chidushim over there, that a person who's not holding in the Ari or Ichari Orah, I'll say, what is this? You know what I mean? But what the bad thing, Chas v'Shalom, from the Shitat HaAri is that after the Ari passed away, so many different streams of the Ari came out. You know what I mean? And the Elionut of the Rashash was that the Rashash, he said, he took a derech and he said, I only go to this derech. I'm not taking from this rabbi, I'm not incorporating anything. I'm just learning the Shemona Sha'arim, the Rosh Sha'arim, just the Ari, that's it. I'm not bringing in other things like the Matzat Shimurim, that's the Sefer Ikar, or Natan Shapira, which this year I was zocheh to do a siyum on the Tzot Chaim again. And the number that day was that I made a siyum on the Yerushalmi, Masechet Ma'asurot, right? So that day I also finished the Tzot Chaim. And that's my first time ever doing it with the Hagaot of the Ranash, of Natan Shapira. Wow, what Chidushim is over there. What Chidushim. And master Chidushim. Master. He connects things together, the Gematriot, but beautiful ones. The Parsufim, the Psukim. Beautiful stuff over there, and I really enjoyed it. I was always very wary to learn Matzat Shimurim.
The new one? The one I got you?
Yeah, the one with the Sades picture in it, the red one, right? So the Hagaot of Rabbi Daftai is in there too. So I was very wary to learn Matzat Shimurim, but when you sent it to me, you know, you got the Taiba inside of me, because he has a lot of Chidushim, a lot. For example, he has a lot of Chidushim regarding Tagim, right? He says you have to add certain letters, 10 Tagim, 20 Tagim, all these kinds of stuff, and it's like, you know, Al Pi Asod, Al Pi this, Al Pi that.
Like for an example.
I think he says in the letter Pei, maybe in Tefillin, I don't remember exactly, but in one of the stams, right, he says you have to add in the letter Pei a couple of Tagim. That's Mefurash Neged Ha'ari. The Ari says the letters of Ochel Mesaper or Melech et Sofer don't have Tagim. They come from the Olamot that there wasn't the Shvira, right? How could he write that it is? So I never looked at it inside. So therefore I want to see it inside. He was also very machmer about Stam Yenam. Stam Yenam is if a goy touches your wine, he moves your wine, right? and if it's not mevushal, obviously, and he's an Oved Avodah Zarah, he believes in Avodah Zarah, but there is a shlach. The shlach was very machmir, and I also think it's the shita of the Matzah Shimurim, but I'm not sure, that's why I got the sefer. That's the second part of the sefer, Yain HaMishumar. But the shlach says, even if a goy looks at your wine,
even if it's closed?
Even if it's closed. Even if it looks at your wine, you have to get rid of it. Very machmir. Very machmir. So I want to see, there's another shita like that. It looks at your wine. How are you going to get wine these days?
And people say if it's open.
If it's open and he looks at it?
I've heard already, yes.
Only if it's open, you're saying?
He looks at it literally to see the wine, or to see the wine, or whatever it is.
Okay, so it's an interesting shita to look at it inside, but I know the shla brings it down. But a goy looking at the wine.
And we always hide the wine when the goy walks in. Shabbat.
But what's bad with that is that that's not the halacha, right? The halacha is only if it's non-mevushal, right? And he moved the wine. Let's say he just touched the wine. It's okay. It's only if he moved it, stam yeinam, that was the gzeira, right? The real gzeira is yain nesech. The real avera is yain nesech. The person, the goy is Oved Avodah Zarah.
The holes, they only let mevushal.
Right. One time I was in one of my Rebbe's bar mitzvahs, and Ma'adev, yeah, and they were pouring wine over there, and I always look at the wine. If it's mevushal, and the goy is pouring the wine. It was not mevushal. They had to recall all the wine and the thing. But Baruch Hashem, listen. So we talk about tefillin. We're getting to wine over here. So he says over here, first you wear the Rashi, then you wear the Rabbeinu Tam. And the Rashi yeh lemala samuch kalfei tzedakah, Rabbeinu Tam samuch leperak ha'imtzai, closer to perak ha'imtzai, right? Which is, this is perak ha'imtzai, this is the katef, right? Katef, zeroa, and kaf. וכן בתפילין של ראש, also תפילין של ראש. יניח בתחילה דרש"י, ואחר כך יניח דרבנו תם. First you should wear your Rashis, then Rabbeinu Tam's. למעלה מרש"י, Rabbeinu Tam's is to be higher than Rashi. So Rabbeinu Tam goes here, and Rashi's are here. Right? So,
Rashi over here.
Right, Rashi is always, the Rashis have to be connected to each other. Shmor Tam, or Eyashar. Shemor Tam, the Rabbeinu Tams always have to be hidden. Always hidden. It's Chokhmah. It's Orot Chokhmah. Chokhmah is always hidden. Chokhmah is shtika. A true Chacham, nobody ever hears it. He only speaks when he needs to speak, and even then he doesn't speak. Alright? I want to read you something interesting. We're already talking about Chokhmah. So you look inside the sefer, right? A true mikubal, this sefer has to be his bread and butter. He has to walk around with it, sleep in it. So he says over here, the Yichudim of the Yudim v'Avavim is something that must be taught to all human beings. So the second part is called part Zichuch HaNefesh. Right? Zichuch HaNefesh part. There's three parts to the book. There's Benayahu, Kavanot Pratiyot, and Kriyat Shema Shalamita. That's the last part. So the Kavanot Pratiyot, that's the second part. That's where it talks about Kavanot of Brachot, learning Torah. And the first part is called Benayahu. Benayahu Ben Yoyada. The reason it's called that because the Neshama of Benayahu Ben Yoyada comes from Eliezer Eved Avraham. And Benayahu Ben Yoyada, his Neshama is special because that shorish of Eliezer Eved Avraham, which is Kalev Ben Yefune, also Ramak,
Tovi the Eved Gamliel also.
From Benayahu, from Eliezer Eved Avraham. It doesn't say that in the Ariyat Hadosh. But that shorish Neshama has the power that they're always Ma'alim Man. They come from, their Neshama's shorish is Aliyat Man. But then it's also to go up to the Malchus. You understand? So anytime a person wants to do a Yichud, he has to die in Kiddush Hashem. So when we have the kavanah of Lamut al Kiddush Hashem, we always have the kavanah to be Mamshech with Benayahu Ben Yoyada. Right? So it says over here, so the Benayahu Ben Yoyada is split into two pieces. One is the parts of tshuva, which is called tikunei hanefesh. The Rashash's Aneinu that we did on Friday, all this stuff. Second part is zichuch hanefesh, the cleansing of the soul, right? The purification of it. Tzichudim, this, that.
First part is the word
Tshuvas. Yichudim when you do tshuva, right? Because the Ari Kadosh says famously in Sha'ar Ruach HaKodesh, all the tshuva that you do in this world for all your averot only cleans you from the Yisurim, from the, what does it say? What's his lashon over there? I believe he says all the tshuva that you do, I think he says it only cleans you from the, I think it just saves you from Gehenna, something like that. But the tshuva but the real tshuva, that means to fix what you did, the real fixation, you have to know the yichudim, the meditations, the kavanot, behind the tshuva. Then you really go back and you fixed it mamash and you do what you have to do. I forget the exact lashon over there. Huh? Yeah, bring the Sha'ar Ruach HaKodesh. I'll find this over here. See what's this? It's open to the tikkun of the Shavavim. So this book, Sha'ar Ruach HaKodesh, right? That's part of Shmona Sha'arim. Okay? And Rav Meir Papirash, like I told you in the beginning of this year, he didn't have Sha'ar Ruach HaKodesh because this was in Rav Shmuel Vital's house. So he wrote a similar book to it. You know what it's called? You got it last time? Sha'ar Yichudim. That's Rav Meir Papirash's.
Yeah.
Remember you got me two books on the Sha'ar Yitzhak, one was Sha'ar Kalam HaYashan. Let's say that's the Madura Kama with the Hagot or Natan Shapira. The Ranash, the Baal Mitzvah Shimurib. The second book you got, there were two books, right? One of them is Sha'ar Yichudim. The second one I think was Ta'amei HaMitzvot. Those two books were not put together by Rav Shmuel Vital. They were put together by Rav Meir Papirash. Okay, it's an important distinction, right? This is the one book that people don't learn. Because if they learn it, they're going to...
Shooting 5-6 years ago.
On Ruach HaKodesh? Or on Tshuva? Sha'ar Ruach HaKodesh? Maybe
We even had the discussion. How long? 24 hours or till nightfall? When is Yom?
Could be. Sak ve'efer. Here's by the way the source. Agav nomar chidush, says Rav Chaim Vital. What's the chidush? Ki hine mi shene'or kol halayla, whoever stays up all night, velo yashen kalal, this is not asleep at all. V'osek b'Torah, and learns Torah, kol ota halayla, that whole night, yeh niftar me'onesh karet echad, will be saved from one karet. Karet is chas v'shalom, early death. Im mitchayev chas v'shalom, v'kol layla echad, every one night, poter karet echad, fixes one karet. Something big, right?
If you stay up a half a night, does it fake a half?
No, it doesn't. Because remember, what's the secret of staying up all night? Fixing karet. Because when you stay up all night, your eyes are always open. And karet, to fix it, you need keter. It's the same letters. And as the most important distinction, midah, of keter, is there is no sleeping in keter. Hine lo yanum velo yishan, shomer Yisrael. Why do we eat fish in Minchav Shabbos? Because it's Keneged Keter, Minchav Shabbos. It's Ravad Ravin. In the Keter of Minchav Shabbos, the animal that has a shorish in Keter is fish, because fish have no eyelids. They have no eyelids. They sleep with their eyes open. They have no eyelids, right? So he says, Gam tzarich adam lizayer, a person should be very careful. They sleep
at all?
Huh? They sleep with the eyes open. predators. Because a person must be very careful. See, people don't know this. Tzarich lizaher. People want to do the divrei Ari about but Ari says, before us, tzarich lizaher. You have to be careful. Be very careful. Tzarich. There's a shon. Lahaniach kol yom tefillin ketzeder Rabbeinu Tam. To wear tefillin Rabbeinu Tam. Velachem. He says something with kavanah here. I'm going to skip that. Hanachat elo tefillin. When a person wears tefillin Rabbeinu Tam, mo'il el ha'asaga v'hasechel v'yidiyah. Just to wear tefillin Rabbeinu Tam opens up a person's brain for limud Torah. Chaval, people don't wear it. I have a couple of prayers of Rabbeinu Tam. Huh? No, he just says that the tefillin of Rabbeinu Tam, if you look at the seder, it's regular seder of Kadesh Li, V'hayakiv Yechashma, and V'haya, it's Yud Kei Vav Kei. What does he do, Rabbeinu Tam? He switches the last parsha and the second to last parsha. So it's going to be, instead of Yud Kei Vav Kei, Yud Kei Kei Vav. The tziruf, right? And that tziruf of Yud Kei Kei Vav comes from the pasuk Yithalel HaMithalel Haskel Vayadoa. Yithalel HaMithalel will give thanks, the person of praise. Haskel, he will open up his sechel Vayadoa, and he will know.
How does this correspond?
What's the first letter? Yithalel, Yud.
Oh.
HaMithalel, Hey. Haskel, Hey. Vayadoa. Yud Kei Kei Vav. So that's the secret of Sod Tefillin Rabbeinu Tam. It's that tziruf, right? It's called Havayot HaHadadeh, right? And therefore, it's that name is Misugal for Chokhmah. That's without saying that Tefillin of Rabbeinu Tam is Sod HaChokhmah. That's why it has to be always Nishmar. When we put the Ritzuot, the Rabbeinu Tam Ritzuot are always under the Rashi Ritzuot. Right? So you don't see the Ritzuot of the Rabbeinu Tams. Right? They have to be hidden. Chokhmah is shtika. So it says over here, so this is what I want to say. Hatnai harishon la'hasagat chokhmah. The first Tanai of getting chokhmah. Page Chai, Yitchet. In Zichuch HaNefesh of the man. The first Tanai of getting chokhmah, b'Torah, hu hashtika. It's practicing silence. Shima'ed b'diburo kol ma sheyochol. The less you speak, the better your chances of getting chokhmah. V'shelo yaseh, don't ever gossip or talk about nonsense. And the second Tanai, he brings a couple of Tanais over here that a person has to do. Sha'al kol davar v'yen sh'b'torah osh b'zorah shelo tavin, anything that you don't understand in Torah, teshev v'tifkei aleh, to actually sit and cry about it. Kol ma shetuchal harut b'chiyah, as the more you cry, the more you're going to have hasaga and chokhmah.
Cry to understand.
Kadosh Baruch Hu says, how come I don't understand? Right? It's like all those stories you hear about the kid in Cheder, he didn't know what he was saying, and suddenly started to cry, and boom, he became too Yimsal Chacham.
There was a story. He had a dream.
Cool.
That he fell asleep. Very Rebbe has a song.
There was a story, a famous story, by Moshe Feinstein's Rebbe. His Rav Pesach something. So, Rav Pesach. I forget his last name. One of Rav Moshe Feinstein learned in a couple of yeshivas. Lamza, a couple of big ones. He was born in Russia. You know that Rav Moshe. He was born in the former Soviet Union. What we call White Russia.
Did
right?
Dari live in Spanish Inquisition times?
Dari, was he alive during the Spanish Inquisition's time? He definitely he knew all about the Girush Sfarad, because he speaks about it a lot. I'm not sure if he was alive.
Where does he speak about it?
All the time. In Shara HaKodesh, he speaks about it. I was with this person from the Girush Sfarad, this person with the Girush Sfarad. Rav Yosef Karo for sure lived through it.
Girush Sfarad is the Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah. Rav Yosef Karo, the Maran Shulchan Aruch, for sure lived through it because he was a young boy. We know his stories. He was a young boy. He was like 9 years old when the Spanish Inquisition happened. Rav Yosef Karo, the Maran, he lived.
How long was the Spanish Inquisition?
It lasted for hundreds of years. It didn't officially end. It always continued. You understand? When were Jews able to go back to Spain and live freely? Well, first of all, you have to know that the Chachmei Sfarad, they made a cherem that no Jew could ever go back to Spain. Think about it. Today, how many Jews live in Spain?
When did they all leave Spain?
They left 1498. Right? Tisha B'Av, 1498.
How did they get out? They were allowed to get out?
They had to leave everything or sell it for dirt cheap. And they had to leave everything. So a lot of people, they unfortunately...
It's better for them, better than dying.
They say exile is worse than death.
Death with...
You have to understand, it's not like today you get on a plane, you go somewhere.
Pictures you see with death, it's like horrific.
Yeah, in the Spanish Inquisition. Oh, those people who decided to stay and still be Jews, yeah, that was horrible. But the people who left, a lot of them, many Jewish places didn't take them in. So maybe they're going. The one place that took them in was the Ottoman Empire, Sultan Suleiman, and because of that, the Spanish Inquisition basically led a whole thing of Jews back to Israel, and that's where Tzfat got its golden age. Rav Moshe Cordovero. What's Rav Moshe Cordovero? Rav Moshe from Cordova, right? Rav Chaim Vital was from Italy. What's interesting, weird, Italy is the home of Kritmach, but yet Jews always lived in Italy. And many times, actually, the Pope, he would defend the Jews. But all over Europe, massacres. But in Italy, there was always a Jewish thing. When did Jews leave Italy, how you say, Rishmi? Completely, Holocaust time. With the rise of Mussolini, dictator, he wasn't as bad as the other guy. But that guy, I don't want to say his name, he killed all the Jews of Saloniki, Greece. Jews lived in Yavan for a long time. Hundreds of years they lived in Yavan. There was one of the greatest Chachamim were coming from Yavan, from Saloniki. And he came in and he just wiped them all out. Hashem Yinkom Edamam. But the Spanish Inquisition was definitely a very horrific time for Kali. So many rabbis, many Talmidei Chachamim converted, many became Marranos. But from all the Shirira comes the Tzmicha at the end.
Sheva Yipol Tzadik.
Huh? Sheva Yipol Tzadik, yeah. Right. So what are we saying over here? With Tefillin of Rabbeinu Tam? It says over here, Tefillin of Rabbeinu Tam.
Is it Sheva Yipol Tzadik because of the Sheva Sfirot?
Sheva is the Malchut, right? Yipol Tzadik is the Yesod. So the Yesod is nofel to the Sheva, to the Malchut, right? And then he's Vekam, and he picks up the Shechina.
On the spot?
Huh?
On the spot.
We said 4 Roshei Hashanim. First he picks her up to the Yesod, then to the Tiferet, then to the Da'at. Right? So it's Bria, Yesod, Bria, Yesod. First she's in Hechal Kodesh HaKadoshim de Bria. So that's Kachab de Bria. Hechal Kodesh Kodashim de Bria is Kachab de Bria. Hechal Kodesh Kodashim. There's 7 Hechalot. Hechal Kodesh Kodashim, Hechal Ahava, Hechal HaRatzon, Hechal HaZechut, Hechal Etzem HaShamayim, Hechal Livat HaSapir, Hechal Noga. There's 7 Hechalot, right? The highest Hechal is Hechal Kodesh Kodashim. That's connected the first 3 Sfirot of the Kachab. Not Chabad, but Kachab. Keter Chokhmah Bina. And Hechalot, we don't count that. We only count Keter. Keter Chokhmah Bina. When the Shechina goes down, the Sfirat HaMalchut of Kodesh Baruch Hu, when his kavod goes down to Bria, it doesn't go lower than Hechal Kodesh Kodashim de Bria. That's the kavod of Bria. But the Malchut of Atzilut, for Malchut Atzilut, for Malchut Atzilut, right, but for Malchut Atzilut to go down to Bria, it's like a person dying.
It's like that Atika Kadishi goes down to Bria.
Atika Kadishi doesn't go down to Bria.
Isn't that the Malchut of Keter?
The Keter of Bria is made, the Atik of Bria is made from the Malchut of Atzilut. The Atik of Bria is made from Malchut Atzilut. But the Malchut of Atzilut itself, at midnight, it experiences death. What we call death in this world. So every day she dies. Ragleya, your daughter, Mavet. That's the secret that Rachel Imenu was under the bed and she was saying the Simanim to Leah. Right? There's a Zohar there. What does the Zohar say? How did Rachel give Leah the Simanim? So the Zohar brings a mashal. It says Rachel was under the bed and she was giving the simanim to Leah. So all the darshanim, they make out of this mashal some, how did he not know the voice? Is that could be Yaakov Avinu's kavanah was so strong. It's not true. The pshat is of that she masrala hasimanim. She told her simanim. So what does the Zohar mean? She was under the bed. The Zohar is telling us that Rachel is another name for the Shekhinah. And every night the Shekhinah goes under the bed, under Olam HaAtzilut to Bria. And she gives the simanim to the partzuf of Leah. So the Zohar is just the simanim means her. What happens to her 9 sfirot? She becomes a nikuda at chatzot, and she goes down to Bia, right, to Bria. So what happens to her 9? What happened? They just disappear. Leah takes them. Partzuf Leah.
That's the secret.
And that's
the legs of,
The
legs of Leah, which is
the legs of Leah is the Keter of Rachel. That's when Rachel is in Atzilut, but when and there's Shalom between them. But when at Chatzot, Rachel leaves Atzilut. And Leah takes her whole spot. It means Leah goes down to the end of Atzilut. She becomes a Keret Habayit now. What you said is something else. What you said is when Rachel is in Atzilut, right? And there is V'samti chad kodshim shotayich. It happens every single day when you say Baruch Shem Kol Malchuto L'Olam Vayid. Right? But in...
What part?
When you say it, that Leah and Rachel, they share the Keter and the Malchus. But in Chazot Laila, it's mamish mavet. So the Zohar gives it as a mashal that Rachel is on it, but Darshanim don't know that, right? Like today I was hearing Tu B'Shvat Shiur, some clips from famous Darshanim. Every other thing, the Ari. Where are you guys getting these Aris? Where? Show me these Aris, you know what I mean? One of my friends sends an Ari. The Ari said, I don't know, something. I texted him, I said, do it for take off the post. Stop quoting the Ari, you guys don't know what you're talking about. You guys don't know what you're talking about. Be'emet, I'm telling you. If you're quoting the Ari, you have to know what you're saying. Is it, I'm willing to be proven wrong. Show me in the Shemona She'arim where he says this. Show me in the Madura Kamas that they say that.
Or the Zohar.
Show me the Zohar, show me something. You understand? Everybody comes with their own pshetla, you know? Just to prove a nice drasha. The Ari never said to make Seder Tu B'Shvat. If he did, show it. I'll be the first one to do it. I'll be the biggest advocate.
It's Rosh Hashanah?
Huh?
It's Rosh Hashanah?
So we just wanted to make a connection, right? But it doesn't say anywhere that he made a Seder. It does say that in Chemdat Hayamim. It does say that in that book, right? And over in Chemdat Yamim, you know who he was, Natan Azati. He wants to say everything is Dari HaKadosh because he wanted to make everything nice. It is a great book. Alright, I peeked into it a couple of times. It's an amazing sefer. But unfortunately the author was not so amazing. He had different kavanot why he was making the book. Okay? So he says over here, Yaniach Tfin Rabbeinu Tam Lemala Merashi. The Rabbeinu Tams are higher than Rashi, right? Because if the Rabbeinu Tams are in the back, and the Rashis are here, so it means they're Lemala Merashi. When you're putting the dalet of Rashi has to be below, and the Rabbeinu Tam dalet has to be on top of the Rashis. Right? It's very hard to do that because it has to be right under the bone, right? And the orif.
Both of them have
to be there. Both of them have to be there. That's always a bit of an issue with that part. Okay. So it says over here, the Tam, why do we put Rashi before? Because first the mochin of ima, of bina, of tvuna, right, come in, and then the mochin of abba. In this case, it's really Yisrael Saba, right? Because during the week we never bring in the mochin of abba and ima. So why does the Ari keep on saying abba and ima? If you learn the halachot of Shar Kavanot, mamash inside, you're gonna know in the Rashash he's talking about the bottom part of abba and ima, which is called Yisrael Saba utvuna. Okay, sometimes he tricks the Lomed, he calls Ima Tvuna and Abba Yisrael Saba, right? It's very important because once I was in a shir in somebody's house, and the guy thought he was a Ari HaKadosh, so he was making this pilpul about the Mochin the Abba, Mochin the Ima. At the end of the thing, I'm like, could you please tell me what's Yisrael Saba Tvuna? He's like, what's that? Understood. So, because people have to know, you know, chokhmah, shtika, right? So it says, so the mochin of ima, tvuna, come in before Abba. That's why we always put Rashi before Rabbeinu Tam. ולכן כשאתה קורא הרצועות וזרוע, תשים הרצועות לרבנו תם תחת הרצועות לרש"י, when you putting the רצועות of the רבנו תם have to be under the רצועות of the Rashi's, באופן שלא תתגלה הרצועה לרבנו תם, because the רצועה לרבנו תם are not allowed to be revealed. כי כן אורות האבא מכוסים באורות האמא, because the אורות of Abba have to be always מכוסים with the אורות האמא. The kasha is, what about in the head? Do you have to also cover the רצועות here? That of Rav Chen is no. When he says that, he's only talking about the yad, not the rosh.
So you're saying cover only the yad?
The yad, yeah. The ritzuot, yeah. But when you let the ritzuot out over here, you should try to put the Rabbeinu Tams under the rashis. I always try and I always fail. It's too hard. It takes too much time to put on the tefillin anyways. By the time I put it on, they're already
you stick them together or something?
With what? With like a clip or something?
Clip or glue or safety
Nah,
pin?
not the glue. Not a safety pin. No, you can't make a safety pin. Maybe with a clip. One of those clips.
Or with a nice feather or something. Leather.
How you gonna
cut off a piece, a nice leather thingy, button or...
No, with a clip, yeah, maybe with a clip is fine. Let's finish the thing of tefillin over here. I don't know, the guy that was supposed to come, we got an extra 15 minutes. Right? Oh, and here's a very beautiful. Says the Ari, the tefillin of Rashi and Rabbeinu Tam lo peligi. Rashi and Rabbeinu Tam never argued. If you think they're arguing, you're wrong. שתי סברות הם דברי אלוהים חיים. both סברות are דברי אלוהים חיים. שלא כדברי החושבים שסברה אחת היא האמת. Not like the ones, פשטנים, who say that only one of them is right, and we're only putting the second one because of suffix. ואחרת בטלה חס ושלום. חלילה מילה מן דבר כזה. Look what he says. חלילה מילה מן דבר כזה. חלילה to believe such a thing.
It's just different ways.
Just different ways, exactly, different levels. Let's do the last one, and we're gonna finish the Inyan Tefillin. Ma shekatav bazoyhar. What it says in the Zohar on the top. You didn't turn the page. On the top. Bezohar Pinchas. Debae lizhara de lo yade yodi tishu kesher tefillin shel yad min tefillin atzmam. You have to be very careful that the yud doesn't move from the bite. It shouldn't be separated from the bite. The yud always has to touch the bite of the tefillin shel yad. Always, very, very important. Va'atam, what was the reason? Ki hayud hazot hu kesher shel tefillin. The yud is another kesher. There's the dalet and there's the yud of the yad, and it corresponds to the yesod, sfirat hayesod. So if the bite is the malchus, the yud is the yesod, and you're never allowed to make a separation between the yesod and the malchut. And what's inside the yesod? 5 chasadim. The knot always has to touch the bite. So you have the yesod is also could be the letter yud. Why? Because the yud has the yesod has the zera, and the zera is made from the tipa. The tipa has 5 cheseds and 5 gvura. Hey chasadim v'hei gevurot. Together it's going to be yud, 10, right? And those and the 5 gevurot inside the yesod. When the yesod, when the ritzua, when the kesher is touching the bite, it's the mashal is what's happening in Shamayim, that it's giving the 5 gevurot to the bite, and the bite represents who? The Shekhinah. And by giving the 5 gevurot to the malchut, it makes her da'at. So by connecting the yud, that's why the Sfaradim, I don't know, you guys also do that? You guys take the ritzua and you wrap it around the bite with the yud?
After putting it on?
No, we wear it, we say the bracha, and the first thing we do is we wrap the bite with the yud.
Together with
the yud,
knot.
To connect with the knot, yeah. And we do that, we have the kavana, that at that moment the ritzua is giving the 5 gevurot to the malchus, and it's making her da'at. And you're fixing the da'at in ukva. It's a big kavana. ולפי שהוא תחתון למטה, צריך לעלותו למעלה עם התפילה עצמה, היושבת למעלה כנגד הלב, ולקושרו שם שלא יראה במקומו. And because the kesher is on the bottom, right? It's not on the top, it's on the bottom. You have to be mekasher the kesher, and by being mekasher the kesher with the bite, you're picking up the kesher. And it's going to be Od Yosef Chai. It's going to have Hayim. שלמה כנגד השום, פשוט שם שלא ירד, it says שלא ירד במקומו, you should not go down from its spot. So we're in למד ד' בסדר שמדבר, we're going to start תפילת השחר. בעזרת השם, he's going to also talk about נוסחאות here. ברוך ה' לעולם, אמן ואמן.